Hey, what's going on? How y'all doing? This is like my fourth take now. I'm trying to shorten it up to where I can upload it. It's a hell of a story. It's about, well, the other day I was talking about people who stepped on me and stuff and walked on me, and I cut ties. And the first person that I finally had enough with was the woman who adopted my oldest daughter. A friend of mine on here asked me about my oldest daughter and why she was adopted. Situation there. So this is that story, and I'm going to try to do it quick. It's every time I've tried to do it so far, it's gotten up to 20 minutes, 22 minutes. And yeah, so it's hard, and I've been sitting here talking about it, and I've been crying, and it's just emotional, but I'm real, and this is part of who I am, and this is something we're going to go over right now. I had 3 children with my boys' mother. In '97, me and her split up, and I started dating my first wife. She wasn't my first wife at the time. We just started dating. In January, we split up. I moved back to Kansas, and working in the family business. I left my career as a millwright and went back to work for the family business, which was driving trucks. And kind of kicking it with the boys' mom, my kids' mom, trying to kick it with her, because we were old friends. We'd known each other all of our lives. So I was trying to kick it with her. She grew up on a street over from me. But anyway, I was trying to kick it with her, and we were doing what young people do or whatever, and all this stuff. And I was trying to see if she would change, and she would not change, and she started dating these doofuses. But anyway, we won't go on to there. In June, I found out that my soon-to-be first wife was pregnant with a child of mine, and I was going to be going out to Arizona I was going to go out to Arizona to start millwrighting again, and to try to start a life with her, because obviously with my boys' mom it wasn't going to work out. So I took in my daughter, who was born, my oldest daughter was born in February. I had taken her and my 2 boys and spent a week with them. Took a vacation, took a break in between the 2 jobs, and spent a week with them, enjoying life. They kind of knew how, Dad was a traveling worker, so they had grown up around it, the boys had, so they were cool with it. Took the kids back to their mother, and I went up to Nebraska and got this van running, and we headed out to Arizona. That's a crazy ass story all on its own. Anyway, made it out to Arizona, started working out there, making $42 an hour working in a mill, aluminum mill, building an aluminum mill. Anyway, Jezreel, my baby girl, was born in September, and a few days later, my sister called and said that my boys had been dropped off at her house. Okay. What the hell is going on? Where's my daughter at? So my sister went over and got the mother of the boys and went to go get the daughter the next day. And then nobody was there where my daughter was at, where the oldest daughter was at. So my first wife's brother was out in Arizona for the birth of my daughter or whatever, and he was headed back to Nebraska. So I jumped in his Chevette with him, and I drove. And yeah, I had that Chevette going like a Corvette, coming up out of them valleys and stuff, coming out of Phoenix. Anybody ever traveled that is crazy. 22 mile an hour, 15 mile an hour curves. I was taking them on 2 fucking wheels. I was hauling ass. Got up to Nebraska the next day. Overnight trip. That's not an overnight trip. I got up there overnighted it in Nebraska. Got up there the next day, bought an escort wagon up there, and hauled ass down to where my boys were. Or not where my boys were, where my boys' mother was. We went to go get my daughter, and the lady, as soon as my sister had left, the day my sister had went over there, which was 3 days earlier, my sister had went over there to get her. It took me that long to get everything situated and get over there. 3 days, she had filed an injunction of abandoned child and all this stuff and had the system work for her. Okay, fine. I couldn't see my daughter. Couldn't even see her. I hadn't done anything wrong. I had been working. I didn't even know all this shit was going on. Anyway, so couldn't even see her. So I went back to Arizona, packed up the family, moved to Kansas into my dad and stepmom's old house. Started living there, not making very good money, fighting. So that was my base operation, so I could fight for my daughter. So it kept going back and forth, and they kept just screwing me over little details and changing the court dates on me last minute and just annoying the shit out of me. And it was a physical drain it was a mental and physical drain on my family. A job opportunity came open in Roseburg, Oregon. So we moved to Roseburg, Oregon. Packed up the family, moved to Roseburg, Oregon. I was building a sawmill out there at the time. Working in a sawmill out there at the time as a millwright and all that stuff. And flying back and fighting for my daughter, which was a huge strain because I would fly, book a flight, and you'd have like 30 days or something they would give you for your court date. You book a flight in 30 days and it costs you the full price. You're flying from, Eugene or Portland or down to Redding or somewhere like that. There wasn't really a good airport right there in Roseburg. But you would fly out of one of these other airports around the area. You'd drive up there, fly out of there, fly back to like Wichita or Kansas City, and then you'd rent a car and drive down and go to court to find out they had rescheduled last minute. Because they could do that because we were working with a child, and if the child had a 1 degree higher temperature or something like that, boom, rescheduled right away. They would screw me over like this. Eventually, I had to make the roughest decision of my life, and that was to go ahead and let this woman keep my daughter. I didn't know at the time all the situation. I decided not to pursue custody of my daughter. And this woman was able to adopt her. Time goes on. A few years ago, I get contacted by this woman again. The woman who adopted my daughter. Actually, I got contacted by my second wife who had been contacted by her. But anyway, I called them back, started talking to them, talking to my daughter. Oh, it was great. This really makes a guy feel awesome. You feel good, like, oh, you did something, and everything was working out. Well, this lady supposedly had cancer. I say supposedly had cancer because she was supposed to die within a few months. Anyway, we started communicating and visitation and back and forth and everything like that. Well, pretty soon, after about a year or so, me and my second wife got a divorce, and it was a bad situation. I didn't know where I was. I was actually going to go back to Nebraska then, and I called up this woman and say, hey, me and because I was going to get my daughter that weekend for visitation. I was like, no, don't bother bringing her down. Me and the second wife are getting divorced, and I'm going back to Nebraska. We're going to pack up everything and head back to Nebraska. She said, well, come on up there to Topeka, and hey, we can find a place, and you can stay, or you can stay here. We can do whatever. Anyway, so packed up the boys and went up to Topeka. Come to find out, she's living with her parents. That throws up a red flag right there. Her and the daughter she adopted were living with her parents in a spare room, like a den or whatever. It wasn't even, they didn't even have like their own room. But so anyway, we got a house together and we started kicking it and everything, and started doing what 30-year-old people do, or 30-something-year-old people do, and started fooling around with the devil pretty much. Anyway, situation. She didn't treat my boys very well at all. My oldest son has Asperger's syndrome, which is a form of autism, and he also has reactive attachment disorder because he remembers his mother abandoning him. So, I mean, he has a lot of issues, and he's hard to deal with, and it's very, very hard to deal with. I mean, I've had relationships end like that because of something that he said, but he's a kid and he has these problems, and that should not affect a relationship, you know. Anyway, that doesn't have to deal anything with the adopted daughter. Actually, we've already covered the adoption part, but I'm just covering the rest of the story of why I stopped the walking on or whatever. Anyway, I always let everybody walk on me, and yeah, so she was being mean to my kids. So I moved into this other house, and she was talking shit behind my back, and it was just horrible. And then she got my oldest son, the one with Asperger's, the all form of autism. She got him to think that he wanted to live over there. So she was trying to take him from me. I actually had the police try to pull him out of it, and it was not a good situation. Eventually, my son realized what was going on and came back to my house crying in tears, and he's been there ever since. And, you know, everything's been going good, but I quit talking to that woman from then on, and I haven't talked to her since. And it sucks that my oldest daughter is in that situation, but I mean, she's very well cared for, very well loved, and everything over there. Her adopted family treats her awesomely. Well, it was kind of cool, is, you know, we hadn't seen each other in like 9 years or something like that, or 8 or 9 years, you know, since we'd been the custody battle or the courts and all that crap. And I hadn't seen her, and she didn't know who we were or anything like that, but our personalities are exactly the same. I mean, she's got the same birthmark on the cheek as I do and everything like that. We look a lot alike. And her personality just fits my family just to a freaking T. She cracks jokes like I do. I mean, non-stop, just cracking jokes. She's got emotional issues, which I'm sorry about, but, you know, that my family deals with. And, you know, she's got this artistic ability. It's just so awesome that, you know, even though we weren't around, we had the same personalities. It's just crazy. But anyway, whenever I was living with that woman, a lot of the stuff that happened back in 98 or 99 and well, 98, 99, 2000, back when I was battling for my daughter, a lot of that stuff came out. You know, I found out that she had given money to my kids' mother to get my oldest daughter. You know, and I found out that she had hid in the closet that day that my sister came over to try to get my, you know, the day after it happened. Yeah, just a lot of stuff came out whenever you were kind of intimate and get close to that person. And I'm a Christian, so I forgive and forget and all that stuff. And if y'all are going to leave negative comments down below about my kid's mom or about the woman who adopted her, please don't. Just don't leave a comment if that's the only comment you can leave, because we don't know the path we're put in. We don't know the direction we're headed, and maybe there was a reason for it all. I don't know what the reason is right now, and I'm hoping that whenever my daughter turns 18, she comes running back over here to the family that she is like and that she fits in. But I do not want to. I try not. I pull myself away from the situation so I don't have to see that person, so I don't have to talk negative about them. Yes, it hurts me emotionally, and I cry. You know, for many years we celebrated on Groundhog's Day. We celebrated the birth of my daughter. You know, but and I still think about her every day. It's just that I cannot. I have to be strong for everybody else that's involved too. It's not just a one-person deal. I have to look at the big picture. And that is the story of, hopefully I got it down to where it's under 15 minutes or whatever, but that is the story of, you know, the adoption of my oldest daughter and where I'm at in this situation. So, until next time, y'all know I'm real. Why don't y'all be the same? Peace.